You should have brought your top hat and a cape
I sort of did.
and a wand and a magic wand.
I sort of did.
Oh, nobody knew they were going to get a magic show today. So, all right, we are live. Welcome everybody to the Teamsam podcast. This is our second episode that we're bringing to you guys. And don't forget that all of the content that we're giving you free here on Facebook, we are archiving these to our YouTube channel, so you can always go back and watch it anytime after the live broadcast, which if you haven't subscribed yet, then you are one of the few people in St. Louis that haven't subscribed to our page because it's exploded over the last week. And to find it, just go to YouTube and search Teamsam Fitness and hit that subscribe button, and then you get access to all the podcasts and all the boot camps and all the free stuff that we've been putting out every week to help you guys during this crazy time with the coronavirus. So, as always, joined today by my right-hand lady, Michelle, and my left-hand lady, Jordan. And on Facebook yesterday, I put out a status asking for topics for us to talk about because we've got a lot of knowledge on the fitness industry, and it's surprising some of the things people want to know about, though. So our two topics for today. Number one is toxic people, because as trainers, we deal with toxic people all the time, but just in everyday life. We got friends, we've got family members, there's people that we barely know that can be very toxic. And then the other topic that I want to talk about that was suggested by one of my longtime clients is body image and how to deal with body image issues. So,
Nina?
Yep. Mina sent me a list of some great topics. But so we're going to start off, though, with the toxic people. And what I did, I went on Google and I was like, how do you define what a toxic person is?
I was wondering too.
Usually it's just a face in your memory.
That's what's funny. So when you think toxic person, I bet all of us has a face that pops right up immediately. There's that one person. Well, Google describes toxic people as they're manipulative and judgmental. They don't apologize for their behavior. They are insecure and they make you prove yourself to them. And they crave attention and bring others down with them. And that last one...
Sounds like narcissism.
Very, very much so. And that last one is one I see all the time. I'll see it on right here on Facebook, where you get posts from people that are constantly down or negative or depressed. And they don't want to rise above that. It's almost like they find joy in being sad. And they're looking for ways to bring others down with them. So if somebody is very toxic and they're miserable, they want others to be miserable with them. And if you give an alternative or something that might make them feel better, it's like they reject it because it's almost like
an excuse.
Yeah, they get some sense of pride out of that. So when it comes to toxic people, that's how Google describes a toxic person. I want to know how you guys would describe a toxic person.
I was thinking about it on the way here, and it's a hard thing to put into words just because I feel like there's so many different variations of a toxic person too.
Totally.
Definitely being negative is one of them. Manipulative. I feel like a lot of people are manipulative and don't even realize it, and that's the last thing that I really came to is lack of self-awareness. I feel like it's a huge thing for toxic people because they are just so unaware of their own behavior, and that just keeps manifesting in their daily lives.
What about you, Jordan? How would you describe a toxic person?
Well, I think you should experiment with how you treat people and then see how reality changes around you. Like literally you can change, almost like skipping to a different scene in a movie with the same actors and they're just happy instead of sad, or they're doing a different take. So you can play with that by being like uber nice to people, and then you're like, oh wow, this is really, really nice. If we all acted like this, man, stuff would be cool because people will reciprocate. Like if they see you smiling or you go out of your way to say hello, they'll respond and then they'll get a little upcharge. And we could all hit each other with those upcharges. Toxic people are the ones that charge you down.
They go the opposite way. They drain you mentally and emotionally.
We all know what it feels like, so you don't have to hear a definition. You know those people and what it feels like.
Yeah, I found that toxic people, it's like they want to make sure that they have drama in their life constantly. And if there isn't drama, they will create that shit. They will manufacture. In fact, I would say most of the drama in their life, they are manufacturing and creating that but it's not enough. They want to make sure that they get others
Misery loves
sucked into their
company.
drama.
Misery loves company.
As I heard a quote that said, an unhealed person can find something wrong with everything,
Yes.
and a
Yeah.
healed person can
Mhm.
find like the better.
Yes.
I don't remember the quote exactly. But I feel like that's where those toxic traits are coming from,
Mhm.
unhealed
Well,
probably, issues.
I think it might be instinctive. I think that's why it's so familiar, why we're all like, and we've all been that toxic person for some other person.
Mhm.
I think it's just natural for us to try to see something as negative or judge it as negative initially.
Yeah.
But you can learn to flip that pretty easy in most cases. Except when
Retraining
you-
the brain.
Yeah, except when you lose it
Mhm.
and try to lose it less.
I have found that with toxic people, there are little signals that go off in your brain. You dread being around them. It's one of those like, oh shit, I really hope I don't run into that person today, or I hope that they're not here. I think when your brain is already giving you signals like, I don't want to be around this person, or another one is you feel, it's almost like you feel, if you've got a friend that is toxic, which I've had times I was very toxic, you've had times you were toxic.
I'm the toxic Avenger.
I've known Jordan a very, very long time. And
Sometimes I enjoy it.
there's times where we ourselves are toxic, but let's face it, we've all got people that we don't dislike them. We consider them friends, but they get toxic, but you find that they're the friends or they're the people that you're constantly having to fix, or you're having to be there to repair them or help them through it. And I think after a while, they like that victimhood status.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
like that, like, oh, I need to be helped. And that's how and it's like they're so insecure. They constantly have to have you prove to them that you're a friend, you're there for them. So they're always looking for ways to be broken or to be shut down.
It's an
And then-
attention-seeking thing.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, it is the attention seeking. That's another signal of someone who can be very toxic, is just how much they're constantly trying to seek attention or put the spotlight on them or sit in the middle during a podcast because
I was just thinking that it must be a hard social situation that you're in where you have to try that as a strategy. Like, did you think that will work?
well,
But I don't think people like really understand what they're doing though. I think that's where the self-awareness comes from. I feel like
Yeah.
they do it and then they get this good feeling of people like, oh, people are caring and like are giving me attention because of this.
Yeah.
I don't think that they realize they're even repeating the behavior to get that same feeling over and over again.
oh, big time. I think last week we were talking about the little things that we get a dopamine rush from. The little things that make your brain go, ooh, I got really like a hit of a drug. And for toxic people, it is. It's like whenever they get you to go, are you okay? Are you sure everything's all right? Do you need help? Ooh, they got that attention.
Yeah,
and it's like they get that dopamine rush. If
Mommy
someone
tucked you in at night.
Yeah.
100%.
It feels good.
Yes,
Yes.
because somebody showed concern towards them or their problem or their issue, that it's like there's that little dopamine rush.
That's right.
And you gotta go, okay, so the psychology behind that might be this is a person who doesn't know what it feels like to be appreciated or to be liked or to be loved.
Yeah.
And because they never figured that out, they're seeking it.
That's
They're
what I
seeking-
meant by an awkward social situation
Yep.
where you have to, okay, I'll do this.
So I
And
think-
this works.
Michelle and I could easily go through examples at the studio where we have dealt with either toxic people or situations. But before we get to ours, Jordan's a school teacher. So
Right.
when you've got
Don't
a kid in
remind
class,
me.
so
Don't
when you,
remind
and
me.
he's in middle school, what grade?
7.
7th grade. So he teaches 7th grade. When you have a student, and the funny thing is, this is how he was in
Yeah.
middle school. I remember.
Oh yeah, I
We
deserved
had-
every bit of punishment I ever got.
So when you have a student though that is disruptive or that is constantly seeking attention or is taken away from others in the class, what are your ways of working around that?
Well, the first thing you want to do is like try to channel that energy in some other direction. Like obviously they need something to stand out.
Mhm.
So a real easy way is say, okay, you're in charge of, and you make up something that's not like anybody's in charge. I'm still in charge of everything. you
Yeah.
know? But yeah, you're in charge of something, and suddenly they'll like simmer down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they got this little dose of attention. Oh, I'm in charge of such and such.
Mhm.
Have you heard?
Yeah.
Have you heard?
Mhm.
So,
Word's the word.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what it is that they're wanting out of it, with their toxic behavior. Because I found you can categorize some of these. of toxicity. So I think a big one are people that want some form of control. I think some of them, they feel like they're not in control of their own lives, and so they're seeking the ability to control everything around them, and so they do that by being disruptive and seeking the attention, and there's an element of control that they're looking for, and I'm going to use an example of someone, and I have no idea if she's going to watch this, but she knows I love her to death, and I'm not saying she's toxic, but there was a time that it took away from workouts, and that is my dear client Tyler.
We're all toxic sometimes.
Yeah.
When Tyler first started training with me, and we're going back like 9 years, oh man, was she difficult. There were times that I'd call out an exercise or we'd be doing something, and it's almost like on purpose she would be laying down on the Bosu ball, not working out, not doing the exercise. And after a while, I was like, she's doing this because she's trying to get the other trainer's attention, or because of this, or because of that. I thought I knew why she was doing it. I thought it was just because she was just being a brat. And it led to fights between us. Like I would get into really bad fights with Tyler to where I thought I'm probably going to get sued. There was one situation when we were still training at Gold's Gym. We were outside, and you got to realize at the time it was me and another trainer. He was a good cop and I was a bad cop. And so we would go overboard with how we did that good and bad role. And so I was playing it up a lot. But there was one day, there was an exercise we called out, and I look over and she's just laying on the ground on the Bosu ball. And I was like, hold the fuck on. I said, this fucking bitch is gonna lay there and not do this exercise. All right, fuck it. You're all doing 2 laps around the building. And I mean, I took it like a slap in the face. I was like, dude, what the fuck? We're out here, we're taking you through this exercise. We're working our asses off to motivate you guys and get you going. And you're just gonna lay there because you want attention? Well, fuck you. That's how I interpreted it at the time. And I thought, that's her. She's trying to get attention in class. She's trying to take away from it.
That's the other way to deal with it, by the way. There is a heavy hand way.
But what I learned in it, and it made her very upset, and it should have been. Like after I did that, she was very, very upset, and I felt horrible.
And this person's your friend today?
She's one of my best.
That's her best man.
Yeah, she's one of my best friends. I say love Tyler to death. I don't think I could do this if she wasn't training with me. She keeps me in check a lot. But at the time, I just thought that was it. I thought she's just seeking attention. Maybe she likes the other trainer or something, and she's trying to get him to watch her, or she just likes everybody else in class seeing her lay down. And that's what I thought at the time. And what I found out after a few years in, it wasn't that. It's just that Tyler is someone who's a very strong, independent woman. And she was raised by her mother, Susan, who's the same way. And I learned Tyler always wants to feel like she's contributing. She wants to feel like she's
helping.
She wants to feel like she's helping. And so I stopped getting pissed at her and go, what the fuck you interrupted my workouts for? And I would go, okay, well, Tyler, what do you want to do at this station? And you want to help me come up with a few of these? And it's like she lit up, and it was a totally different person. And I'm like, wow, a lot of this just came down to like a control thing where when she's in situations like a workout or whatever, she wants to feel a little bit like, well, I contributed to it and I helped come up with it. And when she doesn't, it's like she feels like she has no control. And I thought, oh, that's the key to this is let's help her, let's get her into this and let her participate and come up with a few things. And now she feels like she has a little control with it. And it was like dealing with a completely different person after that. And the weird thing is after so long, I think she had a level of comfort and security with it that it got to where I didn't even have to ask her, like, do you want to help set this up? Like, she just participates in class and she knows where she's at. Like, that's awesome. An example of one.
Was diving a little bit deeper and finding those underlying reasons of why.
Mm-hmm. We are all driven by different reasons. There's different things that we want out of life and out of situations, and people that are toxic, they tend to take the environment and try to make that about themselves. And there's always some negative aspect to it. Here, and this is where I was wanting to go with when you're dealing with toxic people is you can do stuff like try to get the students' attention, or if they want a little bit of control, how you work around that. But at some point, you have to put the motherfuckers in the hallway or send them to another room.
Sometimes it's not your day.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's not my day. I should be put in the hallway.
Which here, unfortunately, like there have been clients in the past that we have had to say, sorry, it's not just that we have an issue with them, it's where other members start to complain. Other members start to say, I hate it when that person's here. And it's like, especially as a business, you can only have so many people say, look, I'm not coming to class because of so-and-so and how loud and obnoxious they are, how they never try, like I want to come here and be serious.
Well, it does spread too.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy to flip several people if your behavior is allowed to go on long enough. You'll find somebody to.
But that, I think
join
that
you.
Sam's point here is not only does it spread, that it takes over. I'm similar to a kid in class, if they're being obnoxious or whatever, it stops, and
It
then
can
like
suck all the
the
energy
attention is
out of the room.
completely.
All the energy.
It does. And it can suck the energy out of the room. It can suck the energy out. It's so hard because then you start to take away other people's focus. And with what we do, that can be very dangerous. If you've got somebody loaded up to do 300-pound hip thrusters or squats, and somebody on the opposite side of the room won't shut the hell up, or they're over there just nah.
You can't talk like that if you're taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Like the workouts are hard if you do them. Like you actually do them and try hard.
I say that all the time.
Yeah.
5 a.m. It's like if you're talking through every single station, you are not working hard enough.
Yeah, exactly.
But like I said, with the kid though, that eventually it's too much and you have to put them in the hallway. You just have to separate them
Well, I
from the
send them to
environment.
another teacher.
Or to another teacher. Here,
Yeah.
we have had
Sam,
some.
go get your kid.
Yeah, Eli is one of them. But here we have had clients in the past where we've had to just say, all right, we're done. Like you need professional help, or there's something that you need that we cannot give you here, and it's affecting everything else. Which and how frustrating that is. The example that always comes to my mind was our first.
Oh my God.
Our first bad one. I won't
Lord
say.
baby Jesus.
I won't say names on here, but when we did
Rhymes
our
with.
when we did our first really big summer challenge, and it was for cash prize, we had a lot of people do really well, and it came down to Brian Tony, because Brian always crushes the challenge. And it came down to this other woman, and this woman had she is one of those, if you could look up toxic in the dictionary, it would be a picture of her face. And she would have her do-rag on and the same shit she wore every day whenever she was here. And you knew her before this, right? She had a habit of going to different trainers. And
I think I was the 6th or 7th
Yeah.
trainer that she'd worked with within like a 2 or 3 year span.
That's always a red flag, is when somebody goes, okay.
But I knew that. I knew I was friends with a few of the trainers, and they even warned me. They're like, dear God, like they were really, don't do that. And I was like, I'll be fine. I can work with this. I can talk you through it. And I did for, I guess, probably for 4 or 5 months, something like that.
Yeah, it was quite a while.
And she was doing really well. And we started that challenge, and we decided it was going to be like an all-over kind of personality, or not say personality, like a full challenge.
Yeah.
Change everything. So she did. Like all of those toxic traits that she was even aware of, she really started working on those, and it seemed like she made a massive transition over those 8 weeks, and it was absolutely beautiful, and I was super proud of her.
Yep.
But as soon as the challenge was up, it was like she immediately reverted back to those old ways.
It's hard.
She went backwards. The
Yes.
way I always thought of her, I hate to say it, but it's like there's the cartoon definition of a toxic person is Eeyore. Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. I just made a Winnie the Pooh reference on our podcast. That's awesome. Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh is kind of like, he sucks. I suck.
Yeah.
She was like that, where
You could write Eeyore out of the script. You'd have good episodes.
It was like from day
100%.
one, she was, I can't lose weight, I'm dumb. And at first you want to feel bad, and you go, I got to help this person. That's my role as a trainer. I'm going to help her. I'm going to bring this out of her. But she, where it got to be toxic, and I had it the first 2 weeks when you were still transitioning here. And it was like, I would weigh her. We would weigh in once a week, and she would lose like a half pound, a full pound. That's a good amount on a weekly basis. And she would step up the scale and go, I don't understand why this isn't working. Why am I not losing weight? I'm stupid. And I'm like, no, you're not. I'm like, you're losing a half a pound to a pound every week. This is adding up. And I want to say,
wait till you get 52.
But that was her brain. It was a constant negative reel, and it was just, and it didn't stay internal. She was just spewing out, just constant.
Imagine 52 weeks, 52 pounds, 52 pounds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But so she, but when Michelle transitioned here full time and she took over training her, you did over a few weeks, it's like you knocked that out. You had her to where she was so positive. She was like a completely different person to be around. And everybody was getting motivated by her because that's what happens when you switch from being this negative, toxic person to being positive and be. It's very motivational.
Shines.
And other people see that and they start applauding and they're like, hell
Everybody
yeah, keep
loves
going.
the comeback kid.
It motivates them.
Everybody loves the comeback kid.
And then it's like once she won the challenge and she came back, not only did she go back to being Eeyore, it was times 10.
Oh, well.
And she was like, and that's when it starts like it was disrupting the workouts.
Yes, it was. It was like, because we have group sessions here, so it was 100% eating into the rest of the session and how I was interacting with other clients. And one day I just kind of snapped, and that's how I reached like my point. I love and care about all my clients, and I put my full heart into this. And so when I'm working with them, I try my hardest to get them to where they should or need to be, and not I preach mind and body because they go together with this so much.
Definitely.
And but there is to a point where it's like you're trying to like coddle them and it's not working, and then they do need that slap on that ass. They do. They need that tough love. So I did. I had that day with her, and I think she was just kind of in awe and shocked by the way that I reacted to her, and that was kind of it from that point. But I feel like a lot of people can take that big like slap on the ass, whatever, and wake them up to it, or they can again not face reality and scurry away from it.
That was her. That was delusional. There's no self-awareness at all. Toxic people will connect dots to be whatever it is that they want to see, whether that's negative or positive.
That's a filter. We all have filters on reality.
Perception.
When you're toxic, man, that's the thing. Like every class that I teach, because I know I have some tough classes, so I reset every time, and I tell them what I'm thankful for, and I call on a student and appreciate that student just to put myself with this like positive filter, and then everything after that can be positive. But if you start off mad,
completely,
you're not gonna have a good time.
That's kind of
You're not gonna feel good on Friday.
Nope.
That's kind of in a relationship dynamic where someone is a leader and a follower, but I feel like dealing with a toxic person whenever you're both on the same playing field, say there's a sisters, family member, or even boyfriend, girlfriend, something like that, it changes how you, I guess, perceive and react to that negativity too. Because a lot of people, it's not like, I read a study, it was like, it's not just the really bad toxic people in your life you need to get rid of, it's the people, I think it said ambiguous, but it's the people right in the middle that are kind of nice to you. Those are the frenemies, because your body can't understand if it's good or bad. It's like so confused. It's like, do they like me? Do they not? Like, am I crazy? Like, is this in my head?
You just touched on a really good point, I think, because it's like the voices that you allow into your own head.
Yes.
That's what you have to police. Like, am I around toxic people?
Right.
Am I listening to some shit that like I wouldn't choose to listen to?
Or is this real shit?
Or just the fact that it's negative. Like, is this going to solve anything? Am I doing anything about this? Well, if I'm doing something about it, maybe I want to listen to somebody who has something to say. But otherwise, if I'm not doing anything about it, I will fill that time with somebody who has a more positive voice. And I think you have to police your media intake.
100%.
We've all got so much. Well, the media is everything. It's podcasts, it's this, it's anything you consume on your phone or the internet, that you have to police that, because if the scales are on the toxic side, because you really like politics or you really like sports or something like that, then you're going to absorb all of that talk. And it's going to be right at your conscious level, and that's how you're going to see the world and react to it.
I feel like that's the way with people, if they have a certain, say, liberal or conservative, if they are only following liberal or conservative news, that's just keep repeating those same ideas, so they're not getting any other ideas.
Exactly
it's an echo chamber. It's an echo chamber, and that's dangerous when you only listen to the views you might hear for confirmation bias, so that you hear, well, I've got to be correct because 1,000 of my friends say the same thing, and it's like, yeah, but you filtered that to where it's only 1,000 people that think exactly like you do.
I heard that lifting weights gives you lupus. You
My
saying
mom
it
told me.
Hold on.
Oh my
You saying it
god.
doesn't?
You are correct.
Dude, I heard a guy on the internet who was outraged about this fact. Therefore, I know it.
Right.
So please shut this all down.
Jordan.
This lupus factory. Shut it
Someone told
down.
me carbs cause cancer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my fucking god.
The amount
Yeah.
of misinformation and how many toxic people they inadvertently become toxic because something scares them. And that
Lupus.
fear
That's
causes
what's
them
it.
to then be very, very vocal of the things they're afraid of, to the point you go, man, I wish this person would shut the hell up. Like, stop with the negativity and the craziness.
It's tough.
So I would say
That's
that
tough.
if we look and we say, okay, with a toxic person, there are different ways to deal with this. First would be identifying what is it that they feel incomplete? What is it that they are missing? Are they somebody that needs a little bit of control? Are they somebody that's just very insecure and you got to build up some of that confidence? But there's only so much of that we can do. At some point, some people are so toxic, they need professional help. And
Yes.
it's like you got to sever those ties because you go, there's only so much we can do. We still have to keep the sanity of everybody else.
Can't save the whole ship.
Yeah, but I don't think I've talked to a few clients about getting like therapy or whatever, and I don't want people to think that that's a bad thing when I tell them that. That's me being helpful, like, hey, I can't do anything from here. I think you really that, and I think there's just such a negative stigma on therapy, and it's not like it's a good thing to talk about your feelings. I think it helps a ton. It makes you that self-awareness, like talking things out. You will unbury those issues.
If you've been to a therapist, raise your hand.
We're doing it right now.
Yeah,
this
but
is
not only
a
that,
form
but
of
I have
therapy.
a lot of clients that they feed themselves. I don't know how to say it. I'm not a doctor, like I'm sure some people do need medication, but I feel like that people that over medicate and just keep medicating are just covering up the issue and not really digging deep.
They're constantly treating the symptom, but not the illness.
Completely.
And that's what medication does. That's what this does. You know, I've been saying that since the whole shutdown started, was where I feel that we do have some essentialness to what we do. People get depressed when they don't get to work out because this is a form of therapy, like working out and going to the gym and feeling like you're taking care of yourself. Like that is like a drug.
And everybody has lost their social connections, and I think we have a lot of like neurotransmitters and stuff that are connected to being social and being around people and feeling like you're a part of something, and we just cut all those without really thinking about what it's going to do. And
that's a great point.
Yeah.
Well, before we move to the second part of the show, the next 15 minutes, I want to look and see if anybody has left any questions or comments on the subject of toxicity, one of my favorite System of a Down albums.
Yeah, I was like, you should have had that playing.
Let's see. Brittany says, Brittany says she misses you and your belly. And Jordan Lynn was watching. Yeah, let's see. Anybody else on here? April says, hi, guys. I'm waiting for anybody to ask if they're the toxic one. I tell you what, if I see a toxic person on here,
call them out.
I'm gonna give a ding, 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 ding. Mina says, yes, positive energy is real. If you give good energy, it will be reciprocated. And Mina, you're one of the best at that.
Hell yeah.
She is.
Brad Carey's watching. He said he wants Jordan to take his pants off.
Oh, that might happen.
Melanie Lambert says, haters gonna hate, drop kick their toxic ways. That's right. And Melanie, you've been around this business a long time. I'm sure you've dealt with your share of toxic people. Tristan Koberman is watching, and I'm betting that he does have his pants down. So, I love Tristan.
I do too.
Especially now.
We've got a little bromance at the Club Fitness going on. Okay, so the second one that I wanted to talk about, and it was requested, is about body image issues. So clinically, it's body dysmorphic disorder, which is it's described as a mental illness involving obsessive focus on a perceived flaw in appearance. It could be minor, but the person will spend an insane amount of time trying to fix it. I have had a theory on this for a long time. I've been training now over a decade. And before that, I worked in the medical field, mainly in the hospitals. And what I'm going at here is the personal training business is a very female-dominant industry. You're gonna see that probably 90% of our clients are females. When I worked in the hospital, I was with nurses, secretaries, physical therapists. Again, I was in a very female-dominant industry. And something I picked up immediately. I should also add that I have a ton of sisters. I have one brother, he's in federal prison right now. And my dad was away a lot, so I was with her. So that is why I have a strong dislike of men to begin with. But being around,
by just a mom.
being around women so
Mostly.
much, especially in this job where we get so close to each other, and you hear people and you hear their insecurities. I have got this theory that maybe it's because of estrogen, I don't know, that all females have like circus mirrors at home. I'm talking about the circus mirrors that are wavy and it makes them look shorter and fatter than they actually are.
Yeah.
Because look at how many people can come in here and they say, I need to get with a personal trainer, I need to start training, and they look pretty good to begin with. You go, wow, you're already in decent shape, we can take you to the next level, but they will swear up and down, no, I've got love handles, or no, I got to get rid of this, or my arm, I always say, I got armpit fat. I'm like, that's skin. Or you work with them, and if the butt was the issue, and then you get that under control, or the love handles were the issue, and you go through that, they will find something. There will always be something. You could have them as lean as possible, and they will say that their ankles are too fat. But and I think everyone has a form of body dysmorphia. What's interesting is with men, it can tend to go the opposite way. I think with guys, it's like they have the other circus mirror at home where they look taller and in better shape than they are, and that's where a lot of ego and arrogance comes from. But the two how they see themselves very different than what they are. So it's not like body dysmorphia is something that only a few people have. I think everyone has this to a degree. But when it comes to that, you with Booty Squad and every one of us here were very large at some point. I'm still very large, but we've dealt with body dysmorphia and body image issues. So what are ways that you overcome that? What are techniques or strategies or mental techniques that you've used to overcome that?
It's really just retraining the brain of thinking a different way. So those positive affirmations of not spending time, just like I'm not going to do this anymore was a good way. Like I would catch myself staring in the mirror for like, I would walk away, stare at myself in the mirror, walk away, come right back. Like if I catch myself doing that or having a negative day, like I'm not doing this today, walk away from the mirror and just try to focus on something else or do something positive, because it is like, it's that hole that you can just spin down into. So,
How often do you have women in class that are going to point out something about themselves?
Constant. It's almost constant. So, and I understand where they're coming from, but I don't want people to think, because they're like, oh, if I reach this 10-pound weight loss goal, I won't have this anymore, and I'm going to be fine, and I'll feel confident. It's not the case. It's not going to happen. You can lose as much weight or get down to your goal. You are always going to see something flawed, because the problem is not your body; it is in your mind. So when you fix that, then you will be fine. You can understand that, okay, acceptance, this is how I am, I'm confident, I love myself, but you can still work for improvements or strive for something else at the same time. That's why I always preach progress, not perfection, because you will never be perfect. I've seen it a lot, especially in the bodybuilding community, where these girls and men have absolutely beautiful physiques, but you have no idea the mental battles that they have in their minds because of it.
Never good enough.
Never good enough.
Never there.
Yeah, completely.
Never there. I used to say that whenever I did, like back in the day, of one-on-one training, and I would get new prospects, right off the bat I would say that I didn't even meet them yet. It might be through email or through texting or calls, and I'll say, okay, what would you say your goal is? And everybody says, I need to lose about 25 pounds. If they say they need to lose about 25 pounds, they're probably already in decent shape. And you do get obese clients that understand and say, hey, I need to lose 80, 100 pounds. They understand. There is an element of reality to that. But I would say the average person that we train is already in decent shape to begin, but they automatically think they need to lose 25 pounds. And so I'll always throw out there, where did you get that number from? What weight? I feel like I need to weigh 120 pounds. Why do you feel like you need to lose 100? It's a very arbitrary number. It's very arbitrary, the amount they think they need to lose and what number they need to get
Completely.
at. And it's always way off. But I think what I found is people are so influenced by others, especially when it comes to Instagram and social media and just the commercialization of things. And that's an obvious thing.
The constant comparison is there.
Movies, TVs, we tend to look at people who are at the top, and that's who we compare ourselves to. So Every girl that we train, I guarantee
yeah.
you they've got 10 women on Instagram that they follow, and they go, oh my God, I want a butt like Lauren Drain, or I want legs like so-and-so. And it's
Like
like,
Darth Vader.
that's my aspirations. Are
This is
to
like
be
the
Darth
all the
Vader.
time. What do they look like?
But
He looked pretty ripped.
it's
under that suit.
what I tell them though is I say that I go, well, here's the deal. Whether you lose that 25 pounds or you build this rear end or whatever it is that you're set out to accomplish, you're not going to like yourself when it happens. There's always going to be something else. You have to learn to appreciate all the things about yourself first to like, whether, and it doesn't have to just be physical. Like, do you have a great personality? Do you make other people smile? Do
Yes.
you make people laugh? Are you smart? Do you add conversation to stuff? There are so many things about yourself that you need to learn to like first. And I think when you do, the physical problems, they start to become less and less in your mind.
Completely.
And now that doesn't mean like, hey, if you feel like you've got a flat ass and you probably do, no, let's work on getting that up there, but that shouldn't be the main goal. That shouldn't be the main road to happiness. And that's what tends to happen with this is you got to address with them right off the bat. Anything that we fix physically, until you've adjusted up here and learned to like yourself, you're just delaying. You're just continuing to delay the next reason to hate who you are. So, okay, we lose 20 pounds. If there's something inside of you that you dislike, you're just throwing out physical reasons. And after the 20 pounds, then it's going to be that you don't like something to do with your thighs, or you don't like the little bit of skin under your arms. And then once we fix that, it'll eventually get to where it's internal things. You got to fix that stuff first.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with body dysmorphia, that's the main thing, is going, okay, what is it that you're missing? Just like the toxic people. What is it inside of them that they're missing or they feel like they need?
Well, that's what it is. I feel like that's how it's manifesting out, is through that body dysmorphia, is those toxic traits that are within them.
Big time. And then the things that cause the dysmorphia, the things that cause us to feel bad about ourselves. So if it really is a physical thing, that usually comes from, let's say you had a great workout, you've been doing fantastic on your diet for a month, and you did lose 5 pounds. You dropped body fat, and you started feeling really good about yourself, and then you're flipping through Instagram, and you come across some first form model, and in your head, you go back and look at your picture, now you're like, oh shit, I'm not as good as I thought I was. Like, she's ripped, and then look at how round her glutes are. Look at that. That is so, it's so artificial, and it's a comparison that you can't make. Or another one I'll get is, let's say we have a girl in class who is 5'1", and she's got a naturally thick build. Like, she was probably a softball player in high school, or like, kind of build that I'm talking about. Yet they want to look like the 6 foot tall model who weighs 120 pounds. And it's like, physiologically, that's impossible. You can follow her routine and follow her diet. We are all genetically determined to be a certain stature. And all of the training can help lean us out, and it can help us look our best, but you're not going to take someone that's this height and this compact stature and turn them into the tall, lanky person. So it's like, who you're comparing yourself to. Stop comparing yourself to things that are unattainable or that aren't even in the realm of reality. I think you've got to constantly just compare to where you were. If
Yes.
you look and you say, well, where was I at 3 months ago? Where was I at this time last year? Have I gained more weight, or have I leaned out something? What is some victory or some accomplishment that I've made? And if I went backwards, okay, now let's use that to say, okay,
Yes.
now I definitely do need to lose. Like in my case, I can say this easily. When I wrestled, whenever I was in good shape, whenever I was lean, I could move, I weighed around 220 to 225. After I retired, easily, within 4 months, I probably went up by 60 pounds. So I can look back and say, okay, back when I competed, I might not necessarily be at that level because I'm not out wearing little Speedos every weekend anymore, but I know where I was at 60 pounds ago. So now I can say with confidence, okay, I need to lose at least another 40. Okay, 40 gets me back to a good healthy range where I'm not getting into like dangerous territory with my weight. But I think if you compare to where you've been at in the past and say, okay, here I was chubby, or here I did feel like shit, so I do need to come down from that. Or maybe at this point I was in good shape and I'm going to try to get there. But you definitely can't do it whenever you're comparing yourself to Olympic level athletes, or worse. And this is my problem with the fitness industry. Yeah, you can go on Instagram or you can look at advertisements. let's take that person who's the top in their field. Let's take that woman who's the top physique model, or she's the top first form model. And I'm not trying to throw first form, let's say any supplement company. Number one, you don't know what that person took. And with the men, and yes, with some females, what drugs were they taking? What steroids were they on? Because I can tell you this, it's almost certain that the guys are on gear. They're either taking clenbuterol or D-bol or Tren or whatever. But they're not going to tell you that whenever they're listing all the ingredients of things that they took to look that way. And even in the females, there are drugs that they could be taking. There's surgeries that they have done. I'm amazed by how many women get ass implants now.
Not to mention it's their lifestyle. They get to, that's all they work on all day.
When you're trying to be the absolute best in the world, you will take every little advantage you can. And that doesn't mean they didn't work their asses off. They work their butts off. They diet like crazy. But when you're trying to be the best in the world, and let's say everybody's up here at the very top, you want that little thing that puts you above them, whether that's an ass implant, silicone injections, Botox, steroids, in Photoshop, the way the lighting is done. Look at how many pictures you go, well, if I stand this way under the correct lighting, look at how I am, where if I relax under normal lighting, I look a lot different.
Yeah, it's unrealistic expectations. And I've seen a lot of Instagram models or other trainers online, they have been doing that comparison. It's a lot of it is angles and lighting. You cannot compare yourself to these damn pictures because it's not real.
The average person doesn't understand that. They just see that and go, wow, they're just naturally like that all the time. And it's because they're not part of this world, they don't understand how artificial a lot of that stuff is. So it's they're looking at that and that's what they think they need to be. And so when they say they need to lose 25 pounds or they need to get here, they think that artificial, that advertisement or that person who's getting paid a shit ton of money to get as lean as they can for a photo shoot, that's what they think they need to be at. And they don't understand all of the different things that come with people looking like they do at that level. And that's what makes that, it's such an unfair comparison to make. So that's why I think it's always best to just go back and say, okay, here's where I was. Or if you know somebody that's of a similar build or had a similar situation. Anytime you look for role models, try to see where there are actual parallels between what they did and your situation. And that's where you're going to find better success or feel better about yourself.
Yeah, maybe. I think probably people with anorexia and stuff like that, those type of people have probably an issue that we're not qualified to diagnose or recommend, how to get out of. But for the average person, it's just what's realistic, But I do think it's important to have these aspirational people that you can look at and be damn, that's what's possible. If I did a tenth of what that person did, I'd be pretty well off if I did a tenth. Wow, that's how far I could go. We need that too. You need that in your life, but you have to start with you, and be well, what's the me that could be different in a month? I'll sculpt myself into a different me in a month. Now, I'm not going to be like that thing I'm aiming towards, perhaps, except one step closer.
Yeah.
Right.
So you can use it that way.
Being okay with those baby steps rather than expecting you to look like that Instagram model overnight or in 6 months.
And don't get the opposite attitude, where you're oh, I'm just perfect the way I am.
Yeah.
Because perfect the way I am got me, and I'm still in a lot of trouble. Just, I accept myself, Well, I accepted some bad things that were happening to myself. I shouldn't have accepted myself. I should have gotten mad at myself and tried to...
So it's going the opposite end of the body dysmorphia. It's just being okay with whatever.
Yeah,
which that brings everything full circle. The ones that have the opposite view of themselves, it's I'm hot shit and I don't need to do anything, and you're ooh, no, you're not. Yeah. They tend to be the toxic people.
And that's a body dysmorphia issue. If you think there's, I'm totally healthy and fine.
That's kind of like the men, what you were saying in the beginning. The men, I saw a quote once, and I don't mean this, but it was fucking hilarious. And it said, "May I carry myself with the confidence of a mediocre white male." And I loved it. I was honestly.
Exactly.
It's all the women that we train. So many have said, well, my boyfriend works out, or we do this, or my boyfriend said that. And I'm that's the thing. There are two things that all men think that they're inherently good at. It's fighting and working out, and they're usually wrong about both. but they just, and that's the
That's a
testosterone.
fact. That's a
It's
fact.
like, I really do. I think estrogen leads to negativity and like, oh man, there's so much pressure on me and I have to look this way and society has this on me, where testosterone has the opposite effect. Testosterone's like, no, fuck this. I'm great. I can beat up the world.
Maybe it is the society of how they look at males or how males are perceived and how women are perceived, and that's why they have those stigmas on each of them and how we behave.
The funny thing is, so when you go to guys though, and the guys that do have the negative, or like you said with bodybuilding, something you will notice this. The dudes that win bodybuilding competitions, like the biggest ripped ones, are all like 5'5", 5'6". They're these little dudes. There's a correlation there because back whenever they were in high school, they got made fun of for being short. And it's like, you're not gonna make the football team. You couldn't play basketball, so they become wrestlers. Or they go, I gotta get big the other way. And they work out like crazy. And they go, I've gotta get big here and strong, and this will make me feel better. And they never reach that point. Like they always see themselves as like these little people.
But if you aim that way, the worse off you are as you become a bodybuilder.
Yeah, right.
And if you aim the other way,
Safety clothes?
just saw it off the wall of your house, got a forklift in
What was
there, just take you out.
that? What was that movie with Leo? With his mom.
What's
What's
eating
Eating-
Gilbert Grape?
There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So,
I think,
land in the middle.
right. And like
Just
you
be
said,
okay. Progress, not
right.
perfection.
Yeah.
Acceptance is the first part of it, because if you're constantly critiquing yourself and constantly being negative, that's all you're going to see. If you flip that around and start being more positive, celebrating what your body can do, feeding it properly, seeing what it can do in the gym, pushing its boundaries, you're going to see a major difference.
It's like souping up a car. Feels cool. Drive it around.
That,
Feels
and like
really good.
I've had days where I've woken up and looked in the mirror and it's like, oh my god, I'm huge, I'm disgusting, blah blah blah. Again, walking away from the mirror, going to the gym, having a good lift, coming back, and it's like, wow, I don't look that bad. I think like doing something positive and like steering yourself towards the direction you want to go is a major thing too.
And,
I agree.
And like Jordan said, with it's okay to have role models. It's that positive negative. Where same thing with social media. This is why I also don't shame all the people that take lots of selfies. I can't stand that shit whenever some women or dudes get on the like, why is that woman taking selfies all the time? Well,
Who
here's
gives
why.
a fuck? Love yourself, girl.
Exactly. Let's say Michelle wakes up and she looks in the mirror and so man, for that minute she's just like, I hate the way I look. And then she goes and she has a killer workout. She posts a selfie and all these people jump on it like, man, girl, you look awesome. You're killing it. Wow, you're pregnant? No way. Da da da. It's like, okay, yeah, that's a positive thing of social media where it's like, okay, you got that support system. You get that confidence boost out of it. It's like, that's a positive way to use it. Same thing with the role models. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong at all with saying, hey, Arnold Schwarzenegger was like one of the first real ones where guys said, oh, I want to look powerful and big, as long as you don't take it too far. But then, if you're a child of the 80s, you grew up watching He-Man, G.I. Joe, Thundercats, and so that's why I tried to look like a Ninja Turtle, and that's why my dad
Dude,
looks
it's the
like a
best
shell.
time to be a kid, man. It's the best time to be a kid. Look at the kids now.
But this might be the nerd in me, but there's so many things that from cartoons and comic books and superheroes, there's like an element of, there's almost like a moral code.
Yeah.
That I got more from comics and superheroes and saying, oh man, Batman stayed in his best shape and Batman honed his skills naturally, and that's why he believes in justice and this and that.
When I was losing the weight recently, I was thinking of it like a quest. Like I'm on a quest.
Yeah, it's an adventure.
And I gotta do all these things or I won't make it to the next level.
Big
I
time.
love that.
Yeah, and it worked great.
And so in that way, like, no, it's great to have role models. It's just you want to keep it realistic, and your expectations, they need to be based in reality. I want to look and see if anybody has left any comments or anything to do with the body dysmorphia issue before we wrap this up.
Oh, there's probably something. You're gonna be sued.
Probably.
Probably.
Let's see here. And my thumbs or my fingers right in the middle of. Turn that back around. Let's see.
The American Psychological
Oh,
Association.
Amel is watching. Stevie Poole is watching. Mina says, complacency is death. Yes, it is. Stacy says, people fix things external because it's easier than being real with yourself and really digging in deep to what truly is the issue.
Or they're related.
And Kim says, body image is such a struggle. Thanks for addressing it. Yes, Michelle, progress, not perfection. I love it. And see a lot of people who work with other trainers watching. And, oh, Tristan says he loves all of us too.
Awesome.
So, but yeah, Mina, I like what Mina said there, is that complacency is an issue. So, at what point do you say, okay, I think I've had good results. I think I'm fine with where I'm at. And is that real? Do you still need to go further? Some people do get very complacent, but I guess it depends on what your goals are. So many people get so many different things out of fitness. Many of them, it's the community. They like feeling like they're a part of something. And they're happy going, okay, I work out. I don't eat horribly, but I'm not getting ready for a contest. So they feel good about just being around other people that are fit and saying, I work out. And I'm not just lazy at home on the couch. And that's probably the main portion of fitness. And then you do have the ones like, no, I want to push myself and be the absolute best that I can. And then there is that subset that is just like, they just want to go somewhere where they can be seen. But I think that's the first thing, is what exactly are you wanting out of it? For the people who just want to feel like, okay, I'm a part of something, and I'm not really concerned with getting ripped. I don't really care if I look super aesthetic. How important is complacency there? But I think if you're someone that pushes yourself and you're constantly saying, hey, I want to be the best version of myself that I can, then yeah, complacency can kill that. It's like you don't want to get too lackadaisical with something or let yourself just coast.
Yeah.
Then I feel like just in life in general, the complacency, like in being stagnant, like I feel like that's just not even, there's no such thing as being stagnant. You're either growing or you're going in reverse.
Or you're wasting your time. And
yeah,
you
exactly.
Have so much. Tick, tick, tick.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was the other thing I was going to bring up with the text today, and we're kind of going back, but about just negative feelings. Like you only have so much energy, so if you're spending all of that energy or most of it on the negativity, you're just wasting so much. Where if you just reverted that into that positivity, but just think of how much more you'd be able to accomplish.
Well, it's like your soul really does have a gas tank.
Yes.
And the negativity is just draining it out of you. It is draining your soul to where all you can think about, it's like everything is just dark and gray.
It compounds on itself. Yeah, it's really hard to change directions, but if you can stay on it, you can stay on a good direction, it takes care of itself. It's self-perpetuating, and so is the other cycle, so you really got to be on guard.
I just had a client last night. She messaged me and she was like, I'm so scared with everything going on, and I'm trying to stay with the workouts, but all this stuff's scaring me. And I said, well, you gotta look at what you're doing. Like right now, it's like she's on Facebook constantly. She's always posting. This person has corona, this person died, this happened there. And I'm like, you're consuming yourself with negativity. You gotta do the opposite. If you're gonna be on your phone so much, and at this time everybody is, go on YouTube, watch Tony Robbins videos, or find people that motivate you.
I always tell you, you're never going to see this headline. 7.5 billion people did not die today. Yeah. That's never going to be a headline. Yeah. That's never going to be a headline. That's a lot of people that didn't die.
It is easier to be a cynic than somebody that is positive.
Yeah.
I always say motivation is like a cup and it has to constantly be refilled. Whatever motivated you 10 minutes ago or a day ago, you can't continue to drive off of that because that will go away. That will fade very quickly. It's something you have to refill constantly, whether that's looking up motivational quotes or watching videos of people that are very motivational, or just reminding yourself constantly, like, this is that thing I got to get better at. This is that thing that I'm wanting to work on. I think when you do that, that's what kills complacency, because you always have that inspiration. You've got that constant thing. But if you don't fill that cup up daily, if you just got inspired because you had this thought that, oh, I need to do this, that'll feel good in that instant. But then a week from there, 2 weeks from there, because you didn't refill it or keep reminding yourself or looking for other ways to add that positivity to your spirit, it's going to drain out. So it's like you got to constantly, you're always doing one or the other. You're either seeking the positivity and the motivation, or you're sliding backwards. And as you slide backwards, you're going to start to seek the negativity or the bad things.
You have to, wanting is not enough. You have to decide. That's
Effort.
what Scott Adams always says. He's like, you can want, dude, I can want stuff all the time. But if I decide something's going to happen,
Yes, completely. Manifestation,
Then
I think it is massive. And I honestly, I really do feel like I manifested Sam coming into my life and the studio and everything, because I knew when I started training at club, like I knew I wasn't going to work there forever. I gave myself a year or two. I'm like, oh, this is great experience for me to start. And that's how I look at it, and just constantly work to get better. So as long as you have goals and have those ambitions and you're constantly putting in the effort to get there, like it's not going to just come by thinking about it, of wanting and putting it. If you have the actions to actually follow up those feelings inside, you can make anything happen.
I agree. I've always felt that if I can visualize something and I can say, okay, this is attainable, this is something I want, I will work backwards to figure out those steps and then start from there.
Yes.
And it's like, whether that's the business or the comic books that we've done, or like when I worked in EMS, like anything that I've been successful at, it started off with me saying, okay, I can visualize this. I can see how this happens.
That's what wanting is.
Mind
It's
control.
like, I can imagine this thing in the future that can happen to me. I want it.
And how that plays in. So when we decided we were going to open a studio and we were going to take and I always say we, because it's like, to me, those clients that have been, Tyler and Stacy and all of them, they really are. I never feel like it's just me. Like Team Sam's never just been me. It's been a team thing. And now it is Sam and Michelle. But when we decided we were going to open a studio and go further with this, it was like, my thing was, okay, what is the studio is going to be based off of this. These are all the things that I've been successful with, or found that in my view, the fitness industry was heading towards. I'm always looking at trends. I'm always analyzing what people are into and looking to see where it's going to be at. So when I looked at the studio and what I thought it should be like, what it should consist of, I had to think, okay, there's going to be this many members. I got to have this many more. Obviously, I've got to bring on other trainers, but I need another full-time person, and this is what I want them to be like. Like, there are these traits that I need this trainer to be, and I want it to be a female, and I need her to be strong and this, and have a bit of attitude. And because I've worked out at every gym around this area, I've watched every trainer. Like, they were all getting quiet. They didn't realize that they were all having interviews. They were being scouted.
That's funny.
But then finally I'm at Club Fitness and I'm like, ooh, this one here. I've been watching her for a couple weeks, which is creepy, but I was watching everybody because I had that view in my head of it. This is going to be successful.
Like
These
baseball.
are all the things that have to be in place. And now that I know what I want that to be, here's all the steps that I have to go backwards to get there. So now that I know this is what I want it to be, I got to start looking. Where am I going to find that person?
Yeah.
And it's like, I had watched at both Golds and the other Club Fitness and Exist and all the gyms around. And it was like, nobody was like, that's that person I see. Like, we got to have this.
That's
for
why when you
until I saw you.
You decided. You said, I have to have. And then once you decided.
Right.
There it is.
And then from there you
just
go.
put in the work to get
That's
it.
it. Or if I go, okay, that's the trainer. That's her. That's what fits this vision that I'm having. Okay, now how do I approach her about this? How do I get her to want to do this? Yeah. I could approach you and say, oh, excuse me, on your off time, could you call me sometime? I can tell you about this. Or she seems like the type that if I just get on that Stairmaster next to her and just tell her about this, she'll probably receive that better. So it does, though. How you manifest things or what you want or what you create, like, it will bring other things together.
Completely.
If you have this idea and you want to get here, this is what you want, and there's another person that's going, you know what, I have the same view, this is the other thing I want, and you continue to work towards that, eventually those things, it's like magnets.
It goes back with being toxic and wanting to be taken care of. If that's what you want, and you decide, I want to be taken care of, you'll manifest the behavior that's going to get you taken care of.
Big time.
Yeah.
Or you'll just start wearing a diaper.
It's going to
get
get
a big
worse.
pinky in a bottle.
Yeah.
And
Sam,
be
I
one
can
of
see you
those.
does that for baby.
There's people out there like that. All right, well, we went a full hour on that one. There was a lot of information that we threw out there at you guys. I'm hoping everyone got something out of this. Just want to remind everybody that while we are on shutdown, all of our training is being done through videos online. And I have to say, I was not expecting this to be as well received as it was. When we when we made the decision that we cannot stay open, Michelle and I talked about what are the ways that we can utilize social media and technology to still give 110% to our people. How are we going to have a way that we can still service them, show them how much we care about them, to be there for them, to make them feel like training didn't stop. It's just happening at their house and they're watching it on video rather than being with us in person. And we set all that up and we've been working our asses off, and it's been very, very, very well received. For all of you out there on social media that get this stuff for free, this is our way of saying, okay, we want to help you guys. We get it. You're at home. You're bored. Many of you, your gyms are closed. Your classes are canceled. And this is our way of helping you guys get through this. And with these little podcasts, it helps. In return,
Oh, I was going to say it's positive media.
It's positive media.
Yeah, that too.
In return, all that we ask is that you continue to share the content. If you got anything out of this, if you've been following the workouts, like I know a lot of people have, share it with your friends. Tell them, say, hey, I'm doing this stuff with Team Sam and I'm really liking it. The more you guys share this stuff, that helps us incredibly. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, that's a big one. All of the free content gets archived there, and it's in better quality. That's the other thing. The live broadcast kind of looks like shit. So if you missed this or you want to watch it or listen to it again, it's going to be on our YouTube page. Go to YouTube and just search Team Sam Fitness and hit that subscribe button. But yeah, I think overall with this, we cannot wait to get back to training people in person. There's absolutely nothing like having them in person. You're like me.
I'm dying for it.
You want them back here. We love to have you guys. Are like our babies. You really are. Clients become like our little babies, and it's like we want to take care of them.
Best friends and moms.
Yes.
Like there's so many different relationships I have with clients.
We get. I always think that like if we do this job right, we are going to get more out of you guys than you get out of us if you form those relationships right. And since we had to close for the month, the amount of support from our regular members. We only had like 6 or 7 people that wound up asking to freeze their memberships or to stop paying because they were out of work. Everybody else has stuck on, and in return, we're giving them as much value and training as we can through the exclusive videos and the different things at their levels. And it's been awesome seeing that. So all I ask is that if you're getting anything out of this, please share it. Tell your friends about the Team Sam brand. Our goal is to become the fitness place for everybody in St. Louis. We want to be your go-to people. And that just happens here with sharing it. And if you've got any ideas or there's any comments or things you'd like us to cover in the future or things that we've done that you'd like to see more of, definitely let us know. That's all I got for today. You guys got anything else?
No, that's it.
I just wanted to say, remember to feel good every Friday.
Thanks. All right, guys. Thanks
Signing
for
off.
watching. That's right.
Oh my God, Jordan, you crack me up.
Oh, that's like wrestling stuff, playing with